and welcome to Officers Corner on the Nigeria Customs Broadcasting Network, NCBN. I am Deputy Superintendent of Customs, Abdullahi Mewada. Attaining economic and security stability is the aspiration of every nation. Over the years, Nigeria has been riddled with series of security and economic challenges due to combination of several factors. Nigeria Customs Service, as an agency that regulates the inflow and outflow of goods through Nigeria's sea, air and land borders, among other functions, makes the agency critical towards having a country that is economically and socially secured. Smuggling being the practice or procedure designed to evade controls, restrictions, and prohibitions is a monster that can jeopardize national security and further create economic hardship. High rate of unemployment, illiteracy, greed, among others, are said to be some of the factors responsible for smuggling. This may directly or indirectly serve as a trigger to many forms of social vices. What then can be done to ensure tight security against smuggling at the Nigerian borders? Our topic for discussion today is national security, evolution of the Nigeria Customs Service, NCS, and I have joining me on the program today the pioneer Comptroller Customs Police in person of Comptroller Nuruddin Hassan. Welcome to Officers Corner.
Thank you very much.
You are still watching Officers Corner on NCBN. The program continues after this break. Do stay with us. Hello, join me on Officers Corner on the Nigeria Customs Broadcasting Network, NCBN TV and NCBN Radio 106.7 FM. Officers Corner is a program that tells stories about custom officers and sister security agencies in a way that educates and entertains in a relatable manner. It also seeks to change the misconception about men and women in uniform in a relaxed atmosphere. I am Deputy Superintendent of Customs, Abdullahi Mewada. Keep watching Officers Corner on NCBN. Welcome back. Comptroller Police. Let's start on a lighter note. People will be surprised I'm using a great beret and a great lanyard while you are using red beret and red lanyard. Can you please take us through why and what are the functions of people wearing red outfits, sir?
Yeah. Thank you. You said I'm a police, and that is why I'm putting on the red gear and the lanyard.
Police in customs?
The customs police,
Okay.
after the establishment or after the inauguration by the Comptroller General of Customs, decided to adore the police unit with the red beret. Because one, it symbolizes the military attire where the custom police were trained. The custom police were trained by the Nigerian military police. So, and that is their attire too. So, in reflection to that,
That's the beauty of synergy.
exactly.
Yes, sir.
And by the standard within the military and not only in Nigeria but internationally, usually the police units within any set of paramilitary or armed forces have a different outfit. Before, we were using the white beret and the white lanyard in the customs service. But as a sign of development, you see, when you transform you don't only transform in your activities, even appearance. We are a uniform set of people, so our appearance matters. Formerly, the customs were not using this very uniform, but it was changed to this, and it's an insignia of change. So the custom police too symbolizes a change, synonymous with the 3R agenda of the Comptroller General of Customs. It is an intervention meant to usher in part of the reform of the Comptroller General, showing change and a difference, meaning that things will be done in a different manner. And in the military parlance, they said those with the red beret are always at the top, and they always lead through example. So what best can we do? How best can we show our readiness if we don't adopt what our forefathers, those that train us, did? So these are part of the philosophies behind the red beret and the red lanyard.
You have take us through the red beret that is in the year 2020. Now let's move. We need to shift back to history to 1881. So our topic is national security, evolution of NCS, Nigeria Customs Service. So let me start by, in terms of historical perspective, can you just give us a brief history of Nigeria Customs Service and the relationship with NCS to national security?
That's a big one. I will do a little.
We'll be okay with an abridged history.
A Nigeria Customs Service, as it stands today, I see it as an independent organization that is under the oversight functions of the Federal Ministry of Finance. So that is today. When you compare it with the time when it came into being in 1891, then it was under the colonial administration, and it was the functions it is serving now are much more wider, much more robust, all-encompassing than what it was doing in 1891. 1891, it was just an outfit. In fact, it was not an outfit as at that time. The functions of the custom as at then were executed, or were being executed by what was called the Royal Niger Company.
Okay.
Yes, Royal Niger Company, which grew to be called the United African Company, the UAC, which we all know. I'm sure you know the UAC, I know, but I don't know the Royal Niger Company. Neither you. So at that era, 1891 up to sometimes 1892, the responsibilities of customs were discharged by the Royal Niger Company, and they were only meant to collect duties at that time, inland revenue, just within the Niger Coast Protectorate. So you can see, looking at it that time, it was a small set of activity carried out within a small portion of what is called Nigeria today. And there was a time when the charter was revoked by the then British colonial administration, and a board of customs was set.
So custom is in existence even before the amalgamation?
Yes, custom amalgamation came
in 1914.
1914.
Okay.
And custom was dated back to
1891.
It's over 30 years. 30, over 100 and almost 30 years.
Older.
So you can see. And as time goes on, with amalgamation and revoking of that charter, with increased recognition of importance of the taxes being collected, the role was expanded. The excise function, collection for taxes from the excise function was added, and the structure was somehow
Broaden.
broadened.
So, what is excise?
Excise duties collected on goods that are locally manufactured.
They are also collected by customs.
Exactly.
Let's move to the next phase. One of the three core functions of Nigeria Customs Service is suppression of smuggling. We have the revenue generation aspect, the trade facilitation aspect. Now, suppression of smuggling. What is the effect of smuggling on national security?
I heard you from the opening of this session.
Yes.
You made mention of so many ills of smuggling, especially to national security. National security is something so broad, something very serious, because when you said national, you mean a thing or something that belongs not to an individual, not to an organization, but to the nation entirely, under the sole proprietary of the nation, of a country. So the security of the nation is so important that it is supposed to be a responsibility meant to have structures in place that are capable of preventing, deterring, or completely stopping the incursion of any threats into the nation, not on an organization or a department or a ministry, but entirely onto the nation. So national security is entirely for the whole nation. And if you talk of smuggling, smuggling affects aspects of national security, in that smuggling directly attacks or subjects threat to the economy of any nation. It also has effect on the socio-political state of any nation. So smuggling, I can say, is evil to national security, that it affects not only one, but the entire fabric of the socio-economic and political state of any nation.
Let's say if someone decided to smuggle arms into the country, it will end up in the hands of bad acts. If someone decided to smuggle drugs into the country, to end up being abused by youths or whoever. So what's the implication of that?
Yeah, as I said, the socio-political state of a nation can be in an imbalance.
Imbalance.
Yes.
Disequilibrium.
Yes. The drugs can, we all know that drugs abuse, drugs, substance are mainly within the use population of any nation. And it is this same strata of the population that are being used to torment country, particularly during a political activities.
Yes.
So you can see the connection between the effect of smuggling drugs or arms. It's It's all within the socio-political climate of a nation.
We need to go back to history because we are talking of evolution.
Yeah.
In 1945, there was a division of customs into two separate careers, that is technical and preventive. So can you expatiate on that and relate it with security, national security? Has it strengthened the security of the nation, or is it a kind of concentration over revenue then? What is the implication of that division?
Yeah,
preventive and technical, and what they do those separate bodies, what are their functions in specific?
Specifically, the technical and the preventive. It was a policy as at then that came into, say, technical, purely revenue, prevention, or the preventive enforcement aspect. The policy then was directed at trying to have a division. Maybe they wanted to achieve professionalism in that direction, because the policy as at then was, if you are a preventive officer, you will continue to be a preventive officer throughout your career or throughout the number of years you be in the service.
Unlike
if you are a technical officer, you continue to be in the technical, that is purely revenue generation, including excise and collections from imports and the management of exports and other related activities. If you look at it, the emphasis to me in that colonial period was more on the taxes. But because there was this expansion too, from the Niger Coast Protectorate to more of a federated or republic, the colonial administration were expanding. So they also expand the structure the first time. They added the excise function. Now, in 1945, they also do some restructuring by dividing the custom aspect of it into preventive and technical. So you can see is a move towards effectiveness in terms of making sure that the revenue are fully harnessed. At the same time, they also come up with a kind of enforcement where they will make sure that those avenues in which the revenue is being generated are also well protected. So you can say, yes, in terms of protecting of the revenue, yes, so the security of the economy. But in terms of national security, maybe the revenue at that time was channeled or was geared towards contributing to the budget of this protectorate. But don't forget, 1945 was still under the colonialism. You don't know where that revenue starts. Is it being utilized here? Or is it accounted to the colonial administration?
But
so that is the point.
In the same vein, there was a kind of reunification in 1977 during, I think, is it Shehu Musa? And the two separate bodies were merged together. So what's your take on that? 1977, which is after independence.
1945 to 1977 is a very
long time.
20 years. I will say they must then the administrators must have made an assessment before 1945 and the 20 plus years after 1945 and found out that perhaps it is better reunify for maybe administrative costs of doing the collection, managing the preventive and the technical side
Under one umbrella.
under one umbrella. There is cost of activity. Whatever you do, there is cost of activity, and that thing stayed for over 20 something years. 45 to 77 is almost 23 years. So an assessment over that period can give anybody a good reason for going back to previous ways of managing the custom administration, or continuing as in the present state. But actually, I told you at 77 already we had our independence, and perhaps at that time the collection too, the cost or the management of the collection maybe is something that was seen to be so big, and the best way they can handle it is bring this thing back, and it has reduced the cost of administration. Because anything you do as an administrator, you need to look at your cost.
Your costs implication. So in Nigeria, you became the 33rd member of Belgium-based Custom Cooperative Council. That is on August 1st, 1963, after signing as a contracting party. Now we have World Custom Organization. So that joining world body of customs, has that improved our capacity in terms of that is the suppression, since we have already relayed that there's a relationship between smuggling and national security. So in the area of suppression of smuggling, do we have is there any impact on that our joining the world body, that is what we call now World Custom Organization?
Yeah, I will tell you in affirmative, yes. There are a lot of advantages we have achieved. The Custom Cooperation Council was a body meant for few European nations.
That was the idea, the conception.
Yes, it was only serving some few European nations. But after transforming to World Custom Organization, many African nations became members, and there was harmonization of the activities. There was harmonization of even thinking. There was harmonization in terms of solving common problems. You said harmonization, simplification, standardization.
Yes.
The World Trade, or the World Custom Organization work assiduously to make sure countries pursue the implementation of World Trade guidelines. So it is the WCO that mediates what the World Trade Organization came up with as far as managing trade along international supply line. The WCO came up with guidelines, came up with tools, came up with assistance, technical assistance, to make sure countries operate with uniformity in terms of managing international trade. And this is where the simplification of processes and procedures, that it should be transparent. Even in the enforcement side, they said they should be enhanced. They should be informative. You should pursue proactive processes using intelligence to target your risks,
Risk management.
adopting risk management application, bringing in non-intrusive inspection procedures.
That is scanning.
Yes, scanning.
Okay.
And a lot of tools that not only look at the goods along the international supply
Chain.
line, but even the stakeholders, management of the stakeholders that are presented within the arena of international trade, that there should be enhanced stakeholder relations. So many tools, so many advantages were achieved.
So our coming, being member of WCO is affirmatively positive to Nigeria.
It is not only Nigeria, but to all member
All
administrations.
member administration. Okay. So now let's move back to and fro 1958. Customs operates under the law as a law that guides the activities of Nigeria Customs Service. And our law, that is Custom and Excise Management Act, was given birth to in 1958. So what's the impact of that law vis-a-vis activities of Nigeria Customs Service? More specifically, suppression of smuggling, security aspect of it.
Yes, looking at it from the local perspective, life generally cannot be lived without any law. There will be chaos. So God, in His infinite mercy, has laws that when we apply within our in our life environment, we will be able to fare very well. So in every aspect or in every endeavor of life, laws are important. So the Custom and Excise Management Act, yes, you said 1958. It's been old, indeed. It's been old, and it need to be changed, need to be revised, need to be updated. But we cannot, the custom organization cannot achieve its very best without supportive laws. Our laws must be enabling. They should give us that latitude to operate, to achieve our activities in line with the standard best practices and guidelines of the WCO, and in consonance with agreements, particularly trade agreements around the world. So our laws, or the Law, Custom and Excise Management Act 1955, it has been revised twice.
Number 55, 1958.
Yes, it has been revised twice. It was revised in 1990. It was SEMA Cap C84, 1990, Laws of the Federation of Nigeria, and C45,
The current one.
2004. But they are still not enabling. They are still not enabling.
That is the issue of dynamism. There must be change and there must be update.
Yes.
You are still watching Officers Corner on NCBN. Up next is a segment, Our Hero, which is designed to celebrate officers across the country who are doing exceptionally well. The program continues after this timeout. Do stay with us.
Hello and welcome to Our Heroes on Officers Corner. This segment, as usual, shines the light on gallant officers whose performances are exceptional. I am Tosin Obiakeme. Today on this segment, we are spotlighting late Hamza Buba, a lieutenant of the Nigerian Army who paid the supreme sacrifice in the defense of our nation and freedom. Buba, who hailed from Akwanga, Nasarawa State, lost his life in line of duty while fighting insurgents in the northeast region. He joined the service upon graduation from the State University, Kefi, where he studied theatre arts. The last post of late Lieutenant Hamza Buba before he was killed alongside his colleagues by terrorists in the northeast said, and I quote, "If I die in a war zone someday, box me up and send me home. Put all my medals on my chest, tell my mother I did my very best. Please, tell my dad not to bow. Surely he won't get attention from me now. Please, tell my brother to study perfectly. The key to my car will be his permanently. Please, tell my sister not to be upset, for her brother will take a long sleep after sunset. Please, tell my nation not to cry, because I'm a soldier born to die, but never to be forgotten." End of quote. Rest on, Lieutenant Reston Hamza Buba. We remember you today on Officer's Corner. You were indeed a hero of our time. That's it for our heroes on Officer's Corner. The program continues in a moment.
Welcome back. Before the break, we were discussing SEMA, Customs and Excise Management Act, Cap 45, LFN 2004, which is in practice now. So, do you have any take on SEMA?
Of course, I said earlier that it is not enabling enough, because we need to have enabling laws enough to give you the latitude to operate and to also try offenders in order to curb smuggling or the dearth of other related vices or other vices related to the activities of customs. In particular, SEMA Section 47. Those are powers given for the prosecution or of offenders, where it is spelled out clearly what are the penalties against committing of some custom offenses or offenses against customs. That section in particular falls short of some things. Might be it was adequate enough in those days, but today, because crime has sophisticated and there is need for the law to reflect in terms of punishment. The law should be also reflective. Recently, we have a practical case where people smuggle offending items and stock them in a warehouse, and the police, in conjunction with other enforcement arms of the service, went on a raid and evacuated those items. The arrest was implemented without an accused person or without a defendant, so to say. So it turns out to be an abandoned seizure. So what is the deterrence in that case? What deterrence do you apply? You have evacuated the goods, they are forfeited to federal government, you auction them, and there is nobody to use as a deterrence. So in that regard, Section 47 specifically ought to look at not only the person or the goods, but the place, particularly the warehouse, the land. I think the law should be revised, particularly, if not all of it, but particularly that section need to be revised to bring in the space that is used for committing such atrocities. If it is a warehouse, private, or any other type of warehouse, that warehouse too should be forfeited. The law excludes that. And in addition to that, the law can even go further, apart from forfeiture. The rights of occupancy or the certificate of occupancy of that place should be revoked. The law should give the right for revoking of such rights, such that the place can be demolished and the land will no longer be used anymore by anybody for such purpose. So these are areas where the law can be revised. Because in those days when the law was made, perhaps it was only the items and the persons that were involved. Maybe people don't go and stock things. But today, people build warehouses specifically for such purposes. And the only thing you can do, you go and evacuate and you leave the warehouse. Or you leave that property. I think the law should be able to look at those areas.
In 1985, still history.
Okay.
Nigeria, then Customs and Department of Customs and Excise was moved from Ministry of Finance to Internal Affairs under the then Minister and Major General Muhammad Maguru, which led to the creation of CIPB, Customs, Immigration and Prison Service Board. How can we relate that development with national security vis-a-vis the functions of NCS?
Yeah, the functions of Nigeria Customs Service have not changed over time. They have only been increasing. Looking back into history, see from the colonial days to the present day, the functions have been expanding. So nothing happens to the functions, but moving from one ministry to another, or from one board to another, that to me is political.
It has nothing to do with...
It has nothing to do with the collection of revenue. As long as it is the same government, it seems to me like a political thing. But the revenue aspect of it, well, but if you said moving from ministry finance to internal affairs, we know customs revenue are directly connected with finance, and that is why we say relationship between custom taxes and national security is so close that government requires money to fashion out policies, and the accounting ministry for revenue in every nation is the finance.
So you feel we should be belong to where we are now under Ministry of Finance?
If you are asking of my opinion, I will say custom is large enough. From opening, I said custom is an independent body. So to me, custom is big enough to even be on its own, on a commission or similar structure.
So, as an officer who has served for over 3 decades, I'm sure, can you please give us a story about PIDA, the younger ones, which is called Professional Import Duty Administrators? What happened then, and what was their function? How did they? Just a brief about PIDA.
Okay. PIDA, Professional Import Duty Administrators, they call them, came in 1996.
Okay.
I remember it very well. They were meant to supervise customs, or they were meant to collect the responsibility of customs, or to join customs in the collection of taxes. But unfortunately, they came in unprepared. Already, as at 1996, we were already, the Nigeria Customs Service was geared towards destination inspection. Destination inspection is derived from the World Trade Organization. Yes, World Trade Organization's standards. Best practices, standard of best practices, as we've been guided by the WCO. So FIDA came in and they had nothing in stock. We, as I said, our processes and procedures need to be facilitative, need to be transparent. But they came in with nothing. They came in as an association. I think it was an association of accountants, and not in partnership with any renowned Nigerian or international body. So definitely they were unprepared and they were poised to fail, even if they succeed in doing that, because we were then at top gear, going for leaving pre-shipment and going into destination inspection. So you can see we have gone a little bit far then, as at the time they come in, and I don't think they had place.
They have no role in the suppression of smuggling.
They were purely accountants.
That is the revenue aspect of the job.
They were purely accountants, and I don't know what to say much, but accountants, I know, they are much more, they would have been better if they come in as reconciliators. You understand? A bridge between the financial sectors that do collect the revenue and the customs that do the administrative aspect of it. So they would have been better, but the way they came in, they were poised to fail, I said.
So taking us, you mentioned the processes of destination inspection started as far as 1996, before 1996.
Yes.
And it was given birth to, because it has been conceived back then, on the 30th of November 2013, leading to what we have PAR now, Pre-Arrival Assessment Report, which is in tune with WCO standard. So now takes us through PAR and how PAR contribute towards having, suppression of smuggling.
Yeah. Pre-arrival assessment is also a requirement forwarded by the WTO, World Trade Organization, that in the articles of trade, in the agreement, that nations, member nations, or in order to achieve speedy clearance of goods, in order for goods to be safe along the trade route, in order for security to be enhanced, in order to deter the effect of smuggling, particularly of illicit goods, arms, explosives, illicit substances, drugs, and similar illicit goods of that nature that are all over the world negated. These aspects of facilitation, aspects of security, such as scanning, should be integrated along the clearing of goods. And in order to do that, you need to have a pre-arrival report that can tell, or like in form of a risk, that can tell the risk that are coming along into a country from outside destinations where people source in goods or where goods are coming from. You need to have a pre-arrival report that will help you to assess your risk, that will help you also to target which of these goods, thereby end up allowing those goods that you target or you assess to be of low risk to move in faster, while you concentrate your attention on those goods that were assessed and you target them to be of high risk. Then you also apply non-intrusive inspection so that you don't destroy, and it's also a means of facilitation at the time of clearance.
I think time, as usual, is not friendly with us.
Yes.
We have started from the colonial customs now to destination inspection, that is PAR. That's the much we can take on Officer's Corner. My guest has been Comptroller Nuruddin Hassan, Comptroller in charge of Custom Police. Thank you for having us on Officer's Corner.
Thank you very much.
I am Deputy Superintendent of Customs Abdullahi Mewada. Do join us next week for another exciting edition. Bye for now.